Okay, it's official, I am completely losing the plot. Good morning. Well, in this episode I want to fix a couple of buzzing issues that I've got with the guitar that I made for the Great Guitar Build-Off. Now then, the pickups are humbuckers and they're concealed within the body. And, well, they're humming. And that's a problem for me. So I need to see what I've got. I've got quite a long signal chain in there, so I need to see if I can sort that out. The other thing is the strings are buzzing, and I think the fret job that I did was a bit rushed. Got a bit panicky towards the end of the competition, so I'm going to have a go at those frets again and see if I can sort those out. So let's get on. I've got the guitar plugged into my amp and I'm going to set it to a crunch position, and straight away you can hear the sound humming from the neck pickup in this case, but it comes from both pickups. I don't get any hum from the piezo pickup under the bridge, so that leads me to believe that somewhere along the line I've got a problem with those humbuckers. There's only one thing for it. I'm going to have to take this apart and have a look. Let's just turn this off. Okay, I've got the strings off. I mean, technically I didn't need to take the strings off to deal with a buzz on the electrics, because all the electrics come out the bottom there, but I've got to fix the fretboard as well, so I thought I might as well take the strings off. So now let's take the neck off, and this is where I love the fact I just use one bolt because it's so easy. There we have it. I'll come back to the neck in a minute, but let's have a look at this pickup platter. Okay, I'll just put those somewhere safe before I lose them. Right. What I need to do is actually adjust the bridge pickup so it's nearer to the neck pickup. It's a bit of a tight fit inside the body there, so this is why I need to adjust that pickup. So let's just see if I can find the right Allen key for this. No, next one up. Okay. Now I need to remember which is the bridge and which is the neck pickup. Okay. Well, thank goodness for YouTube videos. This now tells me that this side is the one for the bridge pickup, and I'm going to effectively have to undo it to push the pickup forward. I think I'll have to mark it somehow. There we are. Should be enough. Let's just see what's happening here. Yeah, that's coming out now. There we are. And here we have it. Okay, so this is the connector I need to undo. Now I should be able to just pull that whole lot out there now, with a bit of luck. Really tight fit this. Now that took a little bit of jiggery pokery to get out, and it's because the wires got caught, unfortunately, in this metal bracket at the end there. So now when I put this together, I decided that it would be a good idea if I put all the wires that lead to the controls inside a plastic tube, which was great. The idea was that it would stop the wires flailing around inside the guitar. The trouble was the plastic tube really wasn't flexible enough to enable me to bend it as I needed to. I ended up jamming it in there. Now the result of all of this is that I think these wires leading to the controls are much too long, and that may be one of the reasons why I'm getting some noise. So what I want to do is actually shorten these, and to do that I'm going to have to try and get this black tubing off the wires, which is going to be an interesting job to do. I didn't show all the trauma I went through to get these wires and the controls into this guitar at the end of the project. I mean, it was just too painful to watch back, to be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, let's see if I can get these out. What I don't want to do is break any of the connections at the other end, because that is a real pain to deal with. So it's coming out. See, yeah, here it comes. Just got that bit of tubing there, which I wrapped in gaffer tape. Not quite sure what I was thinking about when I did that. Right, okay. I'm going to come back to this in a minute. Right, so I've got most of this tubing out. So what I'm going to do is trim these wires. I'm going to cut these wires here. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I know which wire goes to which pin. Let's just get this tape off. It really wasn't the tidiest of jobs, to be perfectly honest with you. So see if we can do a better job. Here we go. Right, so I'm going to snip these wires. Okay, I'm using coloured pens here, permanent pens, to mark the end of these wires so I know which ones are which. And let me just draw out this connector block here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, I've got a blank one there, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 4 in fact there, blank, and then 3, 7 connectors. So I've got this grey blue wire coming in there. I've got this red wire. Now that's fiddle. Where's that going? Right. Next one, I've got a green wire. I've got a red and white. Wire. Got blue and white wire there. And a black one there. And let's just mark this black dash. Okay. I think it's just going to be a question of carefully unsoldering each of these wires and then soldering on the corresponding wire so I don't get myself confused. So I'm just going to work through and do that slowly. I'm not going to film that because soldering is pretty boring. Okay, so this is the last wire to solder on. think that looks okay. Just make sure I've got no solder crossing over. Okay, so that's all the wires done. It's a good job I actually put marker pen on those wires, otherwise I'd have never have worked out which one was which. I'll just tie all these earths together. Okay, I've soldered the connector. This is an earth wire and I've just left it open for the time being before I connect it to the earths of all of the other wires there that go to the controls. I just want to see if that makes any difference with the hum. Anyway, the first thing I need to do is just to make sure that it all still works. So hopefully I should be able to plug this onto the board. And there we go. Turn the amp on. Put it on crunch again. I haven't connected the piezo pickup at the moment, and that's what's selected. Right, so now we've got the buzz. Okay, I've been fiddling around for about half an hour with this, and what have I discovered? Well, I can't really seem to find anything that would cause that level of noise. What I have done is turn down the preamp a bit on the electric side. I'm still getting quite a strong signal, but I'm not getting the level of noise that I was getting, so I'm hoping that that has an impact on it. Otherwise, I think the best thing I can do now is put this back into the guitar. The wires are obviously shorter, so they're not travelling quite so far. Should be easier to get into the body now as well, without all of that black tubing. So hey, keeping my fingers crossed. So I think I'll put this back in the body and then sort the neck out. I'm also going to raise this plate up a bit, and I've got a few holes and things in the way there, but I'm going to raise that up. Okay, well, I've just come back from having a cup of tea, and wow, this is one of those jobs that, well, it started off simple and now it's got complicated. Basically, I put it all together, pushed the tray back into the body of the guitar, and then realised that the bridge pickup wasn't working. And when I tested, the live wire of the bridge connection from the switch, the rotary switch, is connecting itself somehow to the earth. So I've got a short between the earth and the live pin of the bridge pickup, which is a bit of a problem. And the only place I think that can occur is actually on the switch. So I think I'm going to have to poke around in the body of this guitar, see if I can see what's gone wrong. And it probably serves me right for having a wiring system that's a bit more complicated than it really needed to be. Now then, I know all the earths for the wires there. I mean, the problem is that each of the wires going from this connector is a shielded cable. And the reason for that was that there's no shielding inside this guitar. So I thought if I shielded the wires, then that would solve the problem. In actual fact, I didn't need to connect the earths together here, because the earths are all connected together underneath the switch there. So let's see how we can have a look at this. It's hard to see, but I can't imagine it's shorting out there. Okay, it's official, I am completely losing the plot. The reason why the bridge pickup was earthing was because the volume control was turned right down. In actual fact, everything should earth. It was just that for some strange quirk in the system, I was only picking it up with the bridge pickup. But if I turn the volume up, the problem goes away. So I'm going to carry on putting this back and then get on with the fretboard. Right, now I'll have a look at this fretboard. Now, the other day I foolishly tried to resolve a rattling fret by giving it a thump with a hammer, and I hadn't taken the strings off and accidentally thumped the string into the fret, leaving a dent there. So the first thing I have to do is replace that fret. Now, I didn't glue them in, so I'm hoping it should come out fairly easy. I'm sure people have different opinions on whether you should glue the frets in or not. My sort of feeling is that if it seats pretty well, once the strings are, the pressure is going to hold those frets in no matter what anyway. Well, this one doesn't want to come out very easily. Another thing I forgot to do when I put these frets in was just to file a little V at the top of the fret slot. Something that Ben Crow always does, and yeah, I could have kicked myself for not doing that, because that does avoid sort of splitting that I'm getting now. I'm hoping that that will be covered by the new fret, but I will do a slot this time. Of course, it's not so easy to do that once you've got the binding on. So I just need to tidy that up a bit. The crud you can see on there is actually some finishing oil that I used on the fretboard. It's crept underneath there, and well, to be honest with you, made a bit of a mess. This is just 800 grit paper. Pretty good. Okay, that should help the new frets fit in better. Okay, I've got binding on this guitar, so I'm going to use my fret filer to just file off the tang on the end. That's that. I'm going to secure the neck in this homemade neck vise just to hold it steady. That will allow me to clamp it down while I file off the end of that fret I've just put in. Okay, I'm going to use a file which is just glued on the bottom of this block just to take that end off. Looks okay on that side. Now I'm just going to clamp it in my neck jig. Well, if you've got all these jigs, you might as well use them. And I'm going to tape up this fretboard because it's a light coloured fretboard and I don't want to muck it up. Also don't want to take out the nut, so I'm going to tape over all the nut. And I'll put some tape on the end here as well. Just wondering when Ben at Crimson Guitars is going to come up with a expanding tape that you can use to mask your fretboard without having to cut it. Now there's a challenge. All nicely taped. Now it's going to mark each fret. So I'm going to go over it with 320 grit first. Let's see what we can see. I've got a few spots like that bit there where it's not taken any of the ink off, so that's a problem. In actual fact, the rest of it isn't too bad. That bit there and that bit there seem to be the main ones. To achieve some tapering, I'm going to put some masking tape around about there, quite thick. Now then, I have another 320 fret leveling file here, but with a blank bit there which I can use to go over the paper. Now I do like to show you my mistakes because I think it's important to learn from mistakes, and this one here was the one that was showing up that I hadn't taken much off, but in actual fact if I run my finger across it I can feel it dips down in the middle, and this is the one just to the left of the new one I've put in. I think I'm going to take that out and replace it. So what I'm going to do is just peel this back and see if I can get that one out. Just shows how careful you've got to be when you're thumping these in. Well, I've just left the camera running while I've had a cup of tea, which isn't going to be very helpful. It's staring at a blank fretboard. Anyway, I've gone over with the fret rocker, if I can find it again, and everything is looking pretty good now. So I'm going to just dress these frets and then polish them up and then string the whole lot up again. And to tidy up the edge of the frets, I'm using some 320 paper on a bit of rubber matting. Now I've got 600 grit just stuck to this matting. Finally, if I can find it, 1200 grit. I just finish off with some car polish, with a little bit of car polish. Going to rub a bit of linseed oil on it, some boiled linseed oil. Just got a couple of burrs on the new frets I put in, so I'm just going to take those off with this little needle file, which has got one edge, one corner flattened off. Well, it's been one of those days today where not everything has gone exactly to plan, but we seem to have arrived at something. There we go. Right, I put a new set of strings on this, and then I'm just going to adjust the nut because I noticed the bottom E string is riding a bit high. Okay, the strings are on. I've filed the nut down. Let's plug this in, see if anything comes out of it. Turn those up. Turn that on. Well, it's not in tune. What I'm pleased about is I'm getting more power from these pickups, these two humbucker pickups. So that sounds promising. I'm not getting quite so much hum as I was getting before. this up loud, so yeah, I'll take it in the house and tune it up properly and try and record a track with it. So, was all that jiggery pokery worth it? Well, the action is certainly lower. It's probably about 1 millimetre over the 12th fret there. It feels much better to play. The frets look nicer. As far as the electrics go, I've plugged it into my iPad and I'm going to record a few bars. Yeah, reasonably successful. Well, if you've been watching, thank you very much for watching. I hope to be back before too long making guitars. Been busy at the minute, but hopefully I'll get back to that soon. And well, look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, stay safe.